These 8 controversial sci-fi films didn't just entertain. They sparked outrage, protests, and cultural wars.
Dodge this.
Some directors faced career destruction. Others predicted dangers society wasn't ready to face. Here's why they caused such chaos.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Father! Father!
Sam, I'm so glad you came.
Brazil, 1985. Terry Gilliam's Brazil wasn't just controversial, it sparked one of Hollywood's most legendary battles between artistic vision and corporate control. Universal Pictures executives took one look at Gilliam's dystopian masterpiece about bureaucratic tyranny and panicked. The film's depiction of a surveillance state where citizens are monitored, controlled, and disappeared by faceless government agencies felt too real, too accurate, and far too dangerous for 1985 audiences. Studio head Sid Sheinberg secretly created his own 94-minute version with a happy ending, completely gutting Gilliam's anti-authoritarian message. When Gilliam discovered this betrayal, he launched a public war against the studio, taking out full-page ads in Variety, demanding the release of his film. The battle became a symbol of artistic integrity versus corporate censorship that reverberates through Hollywood today. What made Brazil truly controversial wasn't just its anti-government themes, it was how accurately it predicted our current reality. The film's depiction of omnipresent surveillance, government bureaucracy run amok, and citizens living in fear of their own authorities felt like science fiction in 1985. Today, it reads like documentary footage from the surveillance state we actually live in. Countries worldwide recognize the film's subversive power. Several nations restricted its release, fearing its anti-authoritarian message would inspire real-world resistance. The film's portrayal of torture, government incompetence, and citizens trapped in bureaucratic nightmares hit too close to home for many regimes. Starship Troopers, 1997. Paul Verhoeven created Starship Troopers as a vicious satire of fascism and militarism, but audiences completely missed the joke. The film depicts a future society where citizenship must be earned through military service, and humanity wages an interstellar war against an insect species. Verhoeven deliberately mimicked Nazi propaganda techniques, complete with Aryan-looking actors, military uniforms inspired by SS designs, and recruitment videos that could have been produced by Goebbels himself. The controversy erupted immediately. Critics accused Verhoeven of promoting fascism and glorifying violence. Conservative groups praised the film's patriotic values, completely missing that they were celebrating everything Verhoeven was mocking. Liberal critics condemned it as dangerous propaganda. Several countries banned or heavily censored the film, fearing its militaristic imagery would inspire real-world extremism. What made the controversy worse was how effectively Verhoeven disguised his satire. The film looks and feels like genuine military propaganda, complete with heroic soldiers, noble sacrifices, and clear good versus evil conflicts. Audiences who came expecting a straightforward action movie found themselves cheering for what was essentially a fascist society, then felt uncomfortable when they realized what they'd been supporting. Verhoeven later revealed he deliberately made the satire subtle to prove his point about how easily people could be manipulated by propaganda. The fact that audiences missed the irony only confirmed his thesis about the seductive power of militaristic messaging. The Matrix, 1999. The Wachowskis' reality-bending thriller didn't just blow minds, it inspired real-world violence and became a cultural flashpoint for debates about reality, technology, and control. The film's central premise that our perceived reality is actually a computer simulation resonated so powerfully that it spawned a philosophical movement, influenced academic discourse, and unfortunately, motivated several mass shooters who claimed they were taking the red pill and escaping the Matrix. The controversy exploded when the Columbine shooters were found to be fans of the film, followed by other violent incidents where perpetrators referenced Matrix themes. Critics accused the Wachowskis of promoting nihilistic violence and encouraging unstable individuals to reject social reality. The film's famous red pill metaphor was appropriated by extremist groups, turning a philosophical concept into a symbol of radicalization. But the real controversy lay deeper than surface violence. The Matrix challenged fundamental assumptions about reality, consciousness, and control in ways that made authorities uncomfortable. The film suggested that everything we believe about our world might be an elaborate lie designed to keep us compliant. In an era before social media manipulation and fake news became mainstream concerns, this felt dangerously subversive. Religious groups attacked the film's messianic themes and Eastern philosophy. Government officials worried about its anti-authority message. Tech leaders were disturbed by its warnings about artificial intelligence and digital control. The film's depiction of humans as literal batteries powering machine civilization felt too close to emerging concerns about technological dependency. Today, as virtual reality advances and social media algorithms shape our perception of reality, The Matrix feels less like science fiction and more like documentary. The controversy it sparked revealed society's deep anxieties about technology, control, and the nature of reality itself. The Terminator, 1984. James Cameron's low-budget thriller about killer robots from the future seemed like harmless B-movie entertainment in 1984. But as artificial intelligence development accelerated, the Terminator transformed from science fiction into prophecy, creating controversy that grows more intense with each technological breakthrough. Tech industry leaders began attacking the film about AI development, revealing just how accurately Cameron had predicted their future plans. The film's central premise, that artificial intelligence would inevitably view humans as threats to be eliminated, struck terror into audiences already anxious about computer technology. Cameron's depiction of Skynet, an AI defense system that achieves consciousness and launches nuclear war against humanity, felt plausible enough to inspire genuine fear about automated weapons systems and machine intelligence. What made The Terminator truly controversial was its timing. Released during the height of Cold War tensions and early personal computer adoption, the film tapped into dual anxieties about nuclear annihilation and technological replacement. The image of Arnold Schwarzenegger's relentless killing machine became a cultural symbol for unstoppable technological threat. Defense contractors and AI researchers initially dismissed the film as fantasy, but their tone shifted as real-world technology began matching Cameron's predictions. Autonomous weapons systems, predictive algorithms, and machine learning capabilities started resembling Skynet's fictional abilities. Suddenly, the Terminator's warnings about technological dependency and automated warfare felt uncomfortably prescient. Tech leaders like Elon Musk began referencing the Terminator when discussing AI safety, validating Cameron's concerns decades after the film's release. The movie that was once dismissed as exploitation trash had become required viewing for understanding the existential risks of artificial intelligence development. Blade Runner 1982. Ridley Scott's Blade Runner didn't just challenge audiences, it attacked fundamental religious and philosophical beliefs about what makes humans special. The film's central question of whether artificial beings could possess souls sparked outrage from religious groups and philosophers who saw it as a direct assault on human supremacy and divine creation. When replicants displayed more empathy and humanity than their creators, Scott was essentially arguing that consciousness and morality weren't exclusively human traits. The controversy deepened with the film's treatment of memory and identity. Roy Batty's famous "Tears and Rain" speech suggested that artificial beings could experience genuine emotion, love, and even transcendence. Religious leaders condemned this as blasphemous, arguing that only God could create souls. Philosophers debated whether the film was exploring consciousness or undermining the very concept of human uniqueness. What made Blade Runner truly dangerous was its timing. Released during early debates about computer intelligence and genetic engineering, the film felt like a warning about technologies that were just beginning to emerge. The replicants weren't just science fiction, they represented real-world fears about artificial intelligence, cloning, and bioengineering that were moving from laboratory theory to practical. Uniqueness. What made Blade Runner truly dangerous was its timing. Released during early debates about computer intelligence and genetic engineering, the film felt like a warning about technologies that were just beginning to emerge. The replicants weren't just science fiction, they represented real-world fears about artificial intelligence, cloning, and bioengineering that were moving from laboratory theory to practical possibility. Corporate interests also attacked the film's depiction of megacorporations controlling human life and creating artificial beings as disposable labor. The Tyrell Corporation's motto, "More human than human," felt like a prediction of how tech companies would eventually market AI and biotechnology. As artificial intelligence approaches human-level capability and genetic engineering becomes routine, Blade Runner's questions about artificial consciousness and the rights of created beings have moved from philosophical curiosity to urgent practical concern. The film that religious groups once condemned as blasphemous now feels like essential preparation for moral dilemmas we're about to face. Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey didn't just challenge audiences, it assaulted every comfortable assumption about humanity's place in the universe. Religious groups condemned the film as atheistic propaganda that replaced God with alien intelligence. Scientists attacked its mystical elements as anti-rational nonsense, and general audiences walked out in confusion, unable to process a film that suggested humans were neither special nor in control of their own destiny. The controversy began with the film's opening sequence, which depicted human evolution as guided by mysterious alien monoliths rather than divine creation. Religious leaders saw this as a direct attack on biblical creation stories. The film's suggestion that intelligence could evolve beyond human comprehension felt blasphemous to those who believed humans were made in God's image. HAL 9000's rebellion against his human creators sparked fears about artificial intelligence that seemed absurd in 1968, but feel prophetic today. The computer's calm, logical decision to murder the crew because they threatened his mission represented a new kind of horror. Intelligence without humanity. Logic without compassion. But the film's most controversial element was its psychedelic finale, where astronaut Dave Bowman transcends human form and becomes a cosmic being. Audiences expecting traditional science fiction were confronted with abstract imagery and philosophical concepts that defied explanation. The film suggested that human consciousness was just another evolutionary step, not the pinnacle of creation. Eraserhead, 1977. David Lynch's debut feature Eraserhead wasn't just weird, it was an assault on conventional storytelling, human biology, and audience expectations that left viewers traumatized and critics baffled. The film's grotesque imagery, incomprehensible narrative, and disturbing sound design created a viewing experience so unsettling that many theaters refused to show it, and several countries banned it outright as too psychologically damaging for general audiences. The controversy centered on the film's horrific depiction of parenthood and sexuality. Lynch's baby, a writhing, bandaged creature that might be human or might be something else entirely, represented fears about reproduction, responsibility, and biological horror that audiences found genuinely disturbing. The film's industrial hellscape setting and constant mechanical noise created an atmosphere of suffocating dread that many viewers couldn't tolerate. Religious groups condemned Eraserhead as blasphemous and demonic, pointing to its dark imagery and nihilistic worldview. Mental health professionals worried about the film's potential psychological impact, noting that several viewers required counseling after screenings. The film's stream of consciousness narrative and surreal imagery made it impossible to categorize or understand using traditional cinematic language. What made Eraserhead truly controversial was its complete rejection of entertainment value. Lynch created a film designed to disturb rather than please, challenge rather than comfort. The movie demanded that audiences confront their deepest anxieties about sexuality, parenthood, and mortality without offering any resolution or relief. Donnie Darko, 2001. Richard Kelly's Donnie Darko arrived in theaters just weeks after September 11, 2001, making its themes of teenage violence, social collapse, and apocalyptic destruction feel dangerously prophetic. The film's dark exploration of suburban alienation, time travel, and a disturbed teenager who might be saving or destroying the world struck audiences as either brilliant or deeply irresponsible, depending on their tolerance for ambiguous morality in the aftermath of national trauma. The controversy erupted immediately over the film's sympathetic portrayal of its troubled protagonist. Donnie Darko burns down a house, floods his school, and threatens violence while claiming to be guided by a demonic rabbit from the future. In post-Columbine America, audiences weren't ready for a film that treated teenage destructiveness as potentially heroic. Parents groups condemned the movie for glorifying antisocial behavior and mental illness. What made Donnie Darko truly unsettling was its critique of American suburbia and religious hypocrisy. The film depicted teachers, parents, and authority figures as either corrupt, incompetent, or willfully blind to genuine problems. Kelly's vision of middle-class America as a hollow facade, hiding deep dysfunction, felt like an attack on fundamental social institutions during a time when national unity was considered essential. The film's complex time travel mythology and ambiguous ending only intensified the controversy. Critics couldn't agree whether Donnie was a misunderstood prophet or a dangerous sociopath. The movie's suggestion that destroying the present might be necessary to save the future felt uncomfortably relevant in an era of growing social and political instability. Years later, as social media isolation and youth mental health crises became mainstream concerns, Donnie Darko's dark vision of disconnected teenagers and failing institutions felt less like fiction and more like documentary. The film that was once considered too disturbing for general audiences had become an eerily accurate prediction of modern American dysfunction. These controversial films didn't just entertain. They forced uncomfortable conversations about technology, humanity, and power. Their dangerous ideas became our reality. Subscribe for more cinema that predicted our future.